Let's talk about Rude Boy's Restaurant playing at the American Black Film Festival. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast. I am Chris Gore. I am pleased to bring onto the show today a very talented and up-and-coming filmmaker, Philipp Yaw. Welcome to the Film Threat Podcast, man.
Thank you, dude. I'm really happy to be here.
Cool. Your movie, here's what I love about your movie. It's about food. I mean, it's about food, but it's also like it's about Rude Boy's Restaurant is I've never had quite the experience that your characters have in your short film. Have never had that kind of experience at a restaurant. It seems like it would actually be kind of fun in context. But what is it about food that like connects? You've got these customers in this restaurant, right? You've got these white customers in the restaurant. They just want this Jamaican food, right?
Yeah.
And they're struggling to they just want the food. What is it about like food that I'm sure this was inspired? The food is a thing that just connects us, right?
Yeah. Well, I think we all got to eat. So that's one of those things. We all have to eat. We all have to live somewhere, and we all have to use the bathroom. The three great kind of connectors and, things that kind of level the playing field and bring us all into communion with each other. And it just so happens that Jamaican people make some of the best food on the planet. So I think, it's just that communal nature of meals together. I think oftentimes people at meals like sit and reflect. I just went out for a birthday dinner with my wife last night, and like you can't help but sit at a table in a space and start to kind of reflect on your life. There's something about like all of us together ingesting things that nourish us and continue us on this human journey that I think, just allows food to be this great unifier. And I think regardless of what your preference and point of view may be as a person, how you politically align, all that kind of nonsense, you can't push your taste buds in the direction of a preference. You're going to like what you like. What tastes good is going to taste good. It doesn't matter where it comes from. So it's almost like one of the purest things that we do as human beings is eat together and decide if we like something the way it tastes,
Well, and you and I are fortunate enough to live in the Los Angeles area. And one of the things I noticed having moved from the Midwest in Michigan, that the variety of ethnic foods is just unbelievable. There's this place in downtown LA that you can reach from the metro that I go to. That's just this melting pot of every kind of possible food you can imagine. That like, I would say some of the best Mexican barbecue that I've had is there. And we're fortunate. Is that kind of what inspired? I mean, we're lucky to live here where there's just every kind of possible food you can imagine. Yeah.
Well, so there's so much to unpack there. I mean, the thing that really inspired me with the film is the fact that I'm Jamaican, part Jamaican. I'm half Ghanaian and half Jamaican. My parents were immigrants that came over to America in the 70s, came over to the East Coast. And so the film was really inspired by my experiences in Jamaican restaurants with my mother, and then taking kind of my white wife into the space and like observing her kind of navigating it, because it's very much like there is a specific culture around Jamaican restaurants. It's a subculture, I'd say, in the kind of Black community. There's a hierarchy. There's a way you do business. There's a code of honor and respect. And it's something that's like, caught, not taught. And so I kind of learned that from my mother. I kind of taught that to my wife. And then I think the real spark was watching my wife observe other white people in the space who didn't really know the lingo and know kind of how to navigate themselves. So in a lot of ways, it's kind of an observation on, kind of like white identity within a Black space. But to the comment on ethnic food, I think there is, I guess in some ways contradicting my earlier point, the way your taste buds react to food are pretty indiscriminate, but there's actually like a lot of, lens when it comes to how we even talk about food, what food we hold in high esteem, what we consider fine dining, what we don't. And with Rude Boy's Restaurant, I really kind of wanted to dismantle that. I think, the specific kind of American lens that would position, as you mentioned, something, what some people might call like ethnic food as like very savory, but hole in the wall and not necessarily having the same elegance as like some sort of European dish, French or Italian. And broadly, I think that's like a lot of bullshit. And so that's why visually we really wanted to make this Jamaican restaurant, Rude Boys, just feel and look very elevated, because there really wasn't a space like that in the States or in, Los Angeles, that existed, where the Jamaican food was treated with the same reverence and honor and prestige that you would perhaps, ascribe to an Italian dish, and so that really, that idea and that desire to create an image, that really hadn't been seen was really core when we were working through set design.
Well, I don't think that when when I think of the best restaurants, I don't think of a place that is upscale or fancy. I don't
Yeah.
need the surroundings to be perfect. I would go to somewhere like El Coyote,
Mm.
across from the Beverly Cinema, like the new that restaurant is so. I've been going there for years, and it's like not a place you would think, like it's not upscale looking, but the food is authentic and it's incredible. I mean, that's what I just feel fortunate having come from the Midwest, which was pretty gentrified when it came to food. I mean, there were some Greek restaurants and whatnot, but like what I love that you captured in the film too, I didn't get the sense that the woman behind the register, I think there was a little bit of love in what she was saying. Am I interpreting
Absolutely.
that? Okay. I thought, I'm like, it's a little bit of a front, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, well, I'll say it like this. I'll let anyone kind of test the cashier to see if what she really will and will not do with that machete. I guess we
mhm.
kind of keep it a bit mysterious in the film, but push comes to shove, she might shove. But I would say, like, we poke fun in the film, at, kind of some, probably like neoliberal, woke kind of like white people. And we also poke fun at Jamaican people too, with the older gentlemen. I'm trying to fire my shots pretty equally around, but even though, through the kind of revelations and surprises in the film, we learn more, about the main kind of lady and some of her motivation. I still wanted to have an element of humanity and the unifier. Speaking of another unifier of like pain and hurt, and I think the cashier recognizes, the lady's humanity. She recognizes that pain. Everyone has pain. It doesn't matter where you come from. And it also, doesn't necessarily justify your behavior. And that's kind of where I wanted the film to land. Your behavior's not justified, but there's empathy here, and you can still find a space in this environment, but we're gonna have to charge you double.
Well, I appreciate that you use that word empathy. I think we could use a lot more of that these days. And I also appreciated the poking fun at. I think it's better to sort of live and be woke in terms of values, but when it terms of preaching, and I feel like people get a little like we need to have empathy and mutual respect. I feel like that's just the thing that solves everything, and food is that big connector. So I don't know. I think you reached the perfect balance there. So I was glad that it like you were all around the way that you treated all the characters. So let's
Yeah.
talk about how people can see the movie too, because it's unfortunately living in the times that we do. All film festivals are virtual these days, but that's an opportunity for people watching this to be able to go check it out. The American Black Film Festival, which I believe is it ABFF.com?
Yeah, ABFF.com. So I'm
Right.
very grateful that Rude Boys Restaurant was selected as an official selection in the Emerging Directors category for the 2020 American Black Film Festival. So you can watch it now at www.abff.com. There's a new streaming platform, which all of the films in the festival will be a part of, ABFF Play. And so, this is a really great opportunity to see a lot of other emerging directors, a lot of other great short films. I'm in a class with some really, really excellent, potent, mature filmmakers who have a lot to say. And I kind of, surprisingly, I find myself in their company, because our film is a comedy and pretty lighthearted, but there's a lot of people talking about really important things. And with this film, we try to as well. I think just kind of my way. My mother had a very kind of gallows sense of humor, and so I like to use humor to talk about issues. Some people kind of prefer going in like with a strong drama smack, and I respect that. And with some of my upcoming work, I think, I might be kind of imploring a little bit more of that. But with this, I think the humor kind of helps the medicine go down, and I think hopefully disarms.
That's I think we need more humor, and the way you approached it, it's just like, it's fun, it's a simple story, we can relate to it, but it's also like, it's humor. You're right. I feel like we just need to develop a sense of humor to just kind of diffuse a lot of just the intense conversations. While I respect drama, like you were saying, I think that humor is at least a pathway to begin a conversation where mutual respect is present. And because we all want to laugh, and we all want to like eat some jerk chicken. If you could tell me, wait a sec, okay, hot tip. I need to know where to get the best Jamaican food in Los Angeles. I don't want to put the pressure on you, but
I've been bigging up We Jammin' while I've been doing this press run. They're a great spot in Los Angeles that you can get some really, really good stuff. They were first. There are more. I might have to send you a little tip sheet,
Okay,
but
cool.
That's a great place to start. We Jammin' will not send you in the wrong direction.
Awesome. Well, Philipp Yaw, thank you so much for being on the Film Threat podcast. Rude Boys Restaurant is now available to see as part of the American Black Film Festival. Go to ABFF.com right now. Register. Not just Rude Boys Restaurant. There's other movies. We interviewed the director of Lola, which is a film playing there. I don't know if you saw that film. Antoine Allen, I talked to him earlier this week. That film is really remarkable. There's just some great work. So it's a good time for audiences to discover new films and new filmmakers. So Philipp, I want to thank you. I also want to thank our sponsor, Storyblocks. Go to storyblocks.com/film threat. You want to up your game on your movie, take your small indie movie to a big level. There's 1 million+ clips to use. We use it at Film Threat all the time for projects. So it's awesome. Philipp, congratulations on the film, and congratulations on your upcoming work. I know this won't be the last time we speak.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris. And you can find out more about what we got going on at www.cosmicotterproductions.com. I'm Philipp Yaw on Instagram. It's been real, man. Thank you so much for the time.
Cool. Philipp, thank you so much.
We'll see ya.